Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at how April went in all of my journals and planners. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, we are done with the month of April and I have a lot to show you guys. I feel like April was a great month in my journals and planners. I had a very busy, stressful kind of first quarter of 2026, and April was really an opportunity for me to kind of slow down. It's warming up where I am. I'm getting outside more. The days are longer. It's sunnier. Everything feels so much better. So even though I am getting outside more, I just feel more relaxed, and I have been spending more time in my journals and planners than I was in like February and March when I was super stressed and kind of burned out. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how April went in all of my books except for in my daily journal. So if you are new here, my daily journal is a daily planner from Sterling Ink in the A5 size. And I do have a separate video sharing a flip through of how this went in April. So if you want to see that, I will link that in the description box below. Otherwise, I'm going to put some timestamps in this video so you can jump to specific journals or planners that you want to see. And let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, let's start with my take a note. This is my functional planner, but I also use it for some memory keeping. And let's just dive in. Let me just zoom in a little first so you can see a little better. So this book is starting to get a little bit of chunk. I try to not get too much chunk, but I am working on that by using some thinner sticker paper in here. But let's just dive in. So first we have my exercise tracker here. So I have updated that for April. I haven't been walking as much this year as I was in the past. You can see I have a lot of under 10,000 step days, which was very abnormal for me in previous years. But I've been wanting to take it a little easier on my joints, and it's been super cold. So I walk more when I can get outside. I have been trying to do yoga pretty regularly. I've been okay about that. I did get out and play pickleball for the first time this year. Hopefully I will do that more in May. Okay, so next we move into the Calendex. And so what I had decided to do with this was some sort of like time tracking. So essentially what I'm doing is highlighting each day with the primary task for the day. So whether I'm in the office or working from home, because when I work, then that's like the majority of my day. If I'm traveling, because that's the majority of my day. And then if I'm home or crafting for the majority of the day or busy doing something else. So sometimes days are kind of split. So I did make notes on some days. So in April, we had a lot of home work going on. So like work in our home, we were getting it painted. So that did take up a lot of space, but I was telecommuting a bit more to make up for that. And even though there's a lot written in here, a quick trip to Brooklyn, I really felt so much better in April. And I think it was just because I do have more purple. So the purple are like my quieter days at home, and light blue, which is telecommuting, which I'm still working, but it's not nearly as exhausting or stressful as going to the office. Mostly because, well, one, because I get to sleep a little later in the morning if I don't go to the office. And then second, because I'm an introvert. So when I go to the office, based on my job, I supervise people. So I have a lot of interaction with people. And a lot of the day is spent talking to other people, and it's very draining. So I think that helped a lot during the month of April. So let's move to the monthly. So I use this for my functional future planning, and I track here my cleaning. I didn't do everything in April. I think I forgot to mark a few things, which happens all the time, but most of the month was spent just getting the house painted, which was a lot of kind of work around the house, but not our routine cleaning. So that kind of fell by the wayside. I did finish my craft room cleanup, which was a huge thing. And I did a lot of spring cleaning and spring yard work, which was great. And I made a lot of stuff. So I was really good at accomplishing my goals for April. Moving to the weeklies. So I can't remember if this last week of March was in my previous video. So I will share just kind of how it came together. And then moving into April. But how I do my weeklies in here. So first of all, just to flip to a blank spread, in case you're not familiar with the take a note, you got the week on 2 spreads where you have a horizontal weekly that is similar to the Hobonichi weeks. I think it's about the same size, maybe a little smaller. And then you get a column per day, which is about half of an A5 size. It's a little smaller because there's a decent amount of border space on here. But I use this for my weekly planning and task tracking. I use my daily section for a daily task list. And then I use this for memory keeping to keep track of what happened on that day so that I have it for reference when I am going back to fill in my journaling spreads, do project life, do other storytelling or projects. I have this record, which I do typically fill in once or twice a week. Almost always I do it on Sundays, if not a little sooner. So I have photos that I'm printing, and this, you can see I'm using this clear sticker paper now. This is changed from what I used to use, which was this thicker paper. This is still a really thin matte paper, matte photo paper, but I switched in hopes that this will keep the book from getting any thicker. And then I did switch again to a similar one that's not transparent because I don't love that you can see the grid through my photos. And I just add stickers and doodles and all sorts of things to kind of just document what I did on that day. At the top, you can see my task list. That is what I do during the specific day. And I'm not in here every day. So like this day, I put one thing because I was in the office. So I don't take this planner with me. This pretty much just stays at home on my desk. And so you can see certain days, like when I'm in the office, I just don't really use this. I did add a couple of things because I needed to do it. But other days I don't. Other times I'm making longer lists. It just depends on what I need during the day. Here you can see I wasn't in here at all on this Tuesday. Often that's because I'm in the office. When that happens, it's because I don't have any personal tasks to do that day because I only put my personal tasks here. Even when I am working from home, I don't use this for work. I have a separate work planner. And so everything work related is in there. Sometimes I do put meetings in here for work, and that's just because of time management, because if I'm looking at this, I want to remember, oh, I have this meeting. But otherwise, I'm using my separate work planner during the workday for work tasks. I'm adding a lot of like doodles, and this week I did a lot from the Coffee Monster Co. She has a lot that are like this doodle style, which I really love. And so I was trying to kind of stick with those mostly. This one isn't, but most of them are. I'm adding in some of my own doodles, cutting out from washi tape. I really love how this spread came together. Not that one's a bad one, but I like how this spread came together. I think that's probably my favorite one from this month. And then this week I used a fountain pen, and I kind of like that when I have my gel pen up here for my task list. And then as I do my memory keeping, I'm using a fountain pen because it does kind of separate the two. And you can see here that for the weekend, I didn't do any task lists. I just did pure memory keeping because I wasn't in my planner at all. I was at home, but it was more just like relaxing. Sometimes I feel like I really need my planner to focus, and other times I don't. So it just depends on whether or not I need it. It's there if I need it. But I do really like how that came together, so I might do something similar. The next week is still like the last week of April, but it's the current week because it goes into May, so I'll share that one in my May video. Okay, next let's talk about my craft planner. So a lot of what's in here I don't share. I do use this for my social media planning and for like quick notes while I am working through like editing videos and stuff. But I will share with you my plans in here. So every month I do my project planning and my product tracking. So this is how April went. I was pretty productive I did a lot of my craft, all the crafts that I wanted to do. I've made a lot of traditional layouts. I finished my craft room cleanup and I did really well. For my product tracking, I also did really well. So the top row are always the products that come in and the bottom row are the products that go out. So I had more project life cards go out, more embellishments, more papers than coming in. part of this was because I only got the June Stories by the Month kit in this month and my Everyday Explorers journaling subscription, but I didn't get any Cocoa Daisy orders, and that's just because of timing. Sometimes they come early enough that I end up with like 2 in 1 month or later. So that means that probably the same thing's going to happen in May, where I'm going to end up with 2 in May, but that's okay. You know, it all balances out in the end. I also did a few other spreads in here in April. So here is for my week in the life, which is coming up in May. I sketched out my plan for that, and I have this to track kind of how it's going during it. I have a separate week in the life setup video, so you can go ahead and go check that out to see more about my plan. And then as I was doing my craft room clean out, which I shared this spread in that part 3 craft room cleanup video, I sketched out kind of my craft cubbies and how I wanted to lay things out. I do have one more spread from the month of April, but that was the storyteller plans for the 6 storyteller kit. So you're going to have to check that out in the storyteller kit classroom. It should be going live anytime now. So whenever it is in that classroom, you can go ahead and check it out if you are a subscriber. Okay, let's move on to my 5-year journal. I think this is some people's favorite, the one that they really want to see, and I am really loving it too. Sometimes I take a break from it for a couple of days. I'm just not feeling it. And then other times I want to really just like be in here. So it's kind of been a balance, but my plan is to always kind of finish out the month solid and then move into the next one. So what I've started doing is at the beginning of the month, on the first of the month, on the right-hand side, I'm making a list of the prompts. For January, I didn't do it at the beginning because I had some other stuff for beginning of the year stuff. So I went back and added it on the 9th. But for the rest of them, it's on the 1st. And essentially what I'm doing here is keeping a list of what I want to track on that day for specific themes. So if you're new to how I do my 5-year journal, what I'm doing is for some days I am just writing about my day or whatever's on my mind, but other days I'm doing specific themes that I'm going to continue through all 5 years, which I think will help kind of prompt me to keep this interesting, be excited about it. This year, because it's the first year, I have to come up with those themes, which is a little bit tough because sometimes it would be fun to be able to add to it in the future years, and maybe I will, and I'll have to either backfill or skip the first year. We'll see. Especially for the right-hand side, because I have been leaving the right-hand side blank on a lot of days. And at the end of the 5 years, I hope to have a completely kind of full journal, but we'll see. So for the first, I did April Fools, which because it's the first, I just basically wrote my journal entry upside down, which I think is just kind of fun. And then for the second, I did a super easy one, which is my current favorite washi, which I've been doing this most months. I haven't started to put one for May yet. I haven't picked a date because I don't actually have any new washi really since this. But if I get some new ones, I'll probably do one in May. If not, I'll wait till June. We'll see. But I have these 2 that I'm really loving. This one's from the Coffee Monster Co. and this one is from Cocoa Daisy. Some days it's just journaling about my day. This one I just used a fountain pen. Sometimes I don't really feel like it, so I just put something like that. In 2027, I will probably just do journaling about my day on that day. Sometimes I think I'm going to build off of, if there's not a theme, I'll build off of the styling of the previous year. Other times I might not. Some days I'm wanting to do kind of like this decorative approach. I want to try to continue that through all 5 years if I did it, but we'll see if I can do that. For the 7th, I had a theme of memes where these were just a few extras in, I keep this little bin on my desk of printed out memes and magazine cutouts and things that I want to put in my journal. And I decided to kind of use this as a place to pull random ones that have been sitting in there for a while and hadn't made it into my journal and just stick them in here. And I put a couple on this side too, and I'll just add to it in the next few years. More just regular journaling. Another thing I thought of doing for a few of the days was having a prompt that was just like journaling about a specific topic that is probably going to be present in my life for at least the 5 years of this journal. So this one is about my headaches. I went to a headache clinic this day. I've talked about this a lot on my channel recently. And so I just journaled about that, and I figure that this would be a good thing to kind of just check in on how my headaches and my headache treatment is going. The 10th, I just did my mood, which was sad. Earlier in this video, I talked about how April went really well, but then looking back on it, I did have some rough days, but overall it was a great month. And then just some journaling. I didn't feel like writing that much that day, but maybe when it's, another year, maybe I'll fill in more. For this day, I decided to do a quote. So I pulled a quote from my current book, and I thought that might be fun to just kind of pull a quote from my current book if I have one. More just journaling. Here, I decided to do something on this side. I don't love that I haven't been using this side that much. So sometimes I'm going to try to do some prompts on this side as well. So for this one, I did today's weather with a little bit of reflection on it. On the 15th, I'm always doing my one little word. So this is kind of what I just reflected on for April. And I didn't really do much about it, but I just wanted to kind of check in with it. Some months it's going to be more prevalent than others. Some years it's going to be more prevalent than others. But that's kind of my check-in on the 15th. Another decorative day like that. Again, another decorative day with just regular journaling. Here's another themed one where I'm going to just journal about my cat Pumpkin. He went to the vet this day, so I decided that would be a good time to kind of start that prompt. And in future years, it probably won't be the day he has a vet appointment, but I can just check in about him. I think I might come back and print photos of him from this month and maybe put those here. And then the 19th was just some regular journaling. Here I did around the house, so like projects around the house and just checking in about that. I really love when I do this style, but it is a little more time consuming, so I haven't done it a ton. And I feel like I did do more just regular journaling this month. I did a currently inked for my fountain pens and around the yard because this is like the end of April, so I checked in with like how the yard is looking. I did a currently watching. So I just kind of checked in about that and just journaled about a little bit what I was watching. For this day, I decided to do my current to-do list. So I just copied this over from my Take a Note for that specific day. And I think that might be fun to see from year to year. And just some random journaling about the day. We'd had a date night, so we'll see how this evolves through the years. Today's exercise, which I thought was a good kind of check-in of a simple theme. And then I've been ending every month with a recap where I do 3 kind of stories from the month and a selfie from the month. I didn't have any good selfies this month. That was the only photo I took of myself. And I was really taking a picture of that thing on the wall, but that's okay. That's how April came together in my 5-year journal. Next, let's check in with my everyday carry. So this is the weekly diary from Soft Paper Studios. It is basically a dupe for the Hobonichi Weeks, but it is a blank, undated one. I originally picked this up because I liked that the pages were white and there wasn't like the quotes at the bottom. I hate that it's undated and I hate that it's not lay flat. It drives me insane and it makes me not really want to use it. So I haven't used the notes pages at all. I keep saying I might do it. I still kind of plan to, but we'll see. I am going to stick it out though because I did put all of my stickers in here for the year from the Coffee Monster Co. and I love those. So this is my kind of functional planner. I also use my Take a Note as a functional planner, but my Take a Note stays at home. So this one I bring with me. So the calendar in here and in my Take a Note is kind of duplicated. In my Take a Note, sometimes it'll go into more detail and also has like my tracking or my chores and my project life plans and that kind of stuff. This is just like, this is what I'm doing on this day because this is what I have with me. So if I go to the dentist's office and then I need to make a follow-up appointment, I have this available. I also have the full year planned out in here, whereas in my Take a Note, I'm only planning 1 month in advance. When it comes to the weekly spreads in here, I am a little, this is not duplicative anymore, or I try not to be. So the only thing that's really duplicated in my system is this monthly spread. And that's because I have a purpose for having one at home and one on the go. But even though I have a lot of books in my system, I try not to duplicate anything because I want my system to be functional and not just time consuming. If I'm duplicating things in multiple places, that's just wasting time. So for this journal, for the weekly spreads, which are like the Hobonichi weeks, like I showed, I set this up in advance during my week or my monthly plan with me, where I just am putting the month and the date and the day of the week. I'm hating that this is not pre-set up, because not only do I not like doing it, I just feel like it doesn't look as good when I hand do it. But on the left-hand side here, I'm just using this to write down what I do each day. And this is just quick notes that I make during the day before I forget, so that I have it when I go to decoratively update my take a note. And I also have just like quick notes in here. On the right-hand side, I'm using it for my meal tracking and then just like other things. So here I had some notes about what I needed to print. Sometimes it's coming out blank on the right. Other times I'm trying to do a little bit more. Here I decided to track what I'm reading and watching and some health tracking. I've stuck with this. I really want to do my health tracking to track my headaches. And the meals, I always like to do my meal tracking. I was originally doing that in my take a note, but it makes more sense to do it in here because I like to reference that when doing my meal planning, which I'm not always at my desk while I'm doing that. I'm adding a little bit of decoration in here as I do my weekly setup, just trying to make this a little bit more fun and make me want to kind of be in it more. And let's see, that's it before the current week. So I've kind of following the same sort of format where I'm creating a to-do list, notes, shopping list, health tracking, reading, watching, and meals. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to add all these categories every week, but I like having this more set up on this side as opposed to some of the earlier weeks where I wasn't really doing, some weeks I didn't use it at all, or I just did my meals over here. And I feel like it just makes it a little bit more fun to be in here and functional. I also am adding these little icons from the Coffee Monster Co. to kind of have a use for those little stickers. And I don't know, I just think they add something pretty cute to the spread. Next, let's check in with my thinking book or random notes book. I've heard other people call this a thinking book, but essentially it is a blank grid notebook. This is from Sterling Ink in the A5 size, and this is just my random place for random notes. Sometimes it's decorative, sometimes it's messy, and it's just whatever I need. So for April, a lot of it is doing these like color schemes to kind of coordinate markers and washi tape and stuff for in my daily journal. And so I just kind of need a scratch paper place for that. And I want it to be on good quality paper so that it's going to show up the same here as it is in my journal. In previous months, I was kind of just doing that all over on random pages. Here, I try to put it all in one spot. I'm trying to make this a little bit prettier, but it's not totally getting pretty. I have some, messy notes and things, testing out inks, writing out words for some layouts, making lists of things I need to check off. But generally, I kind of like how it comes together. I didn't really use it that much in April. I have just a couple pages. I intend for this book to last more than just the 1 year. That's totally fine. It's just to have an extra place so I don't have all these like random scratch papers and sticky notes, and all of it can just be corralled in one spot. Okay, so that was the last of the books that I always check in with in these videos. This month, I'm also going to share my house journal update because we did do a lot in the house journal. If you're unfamiliar with my house journal, this is in a Hobonichi 5-year. I started in 2023, and this is the A5 size. I have a separate video sharing kind of my setup for this and what this journal is, but it's essentially a place for me as a homeowner to track everything related to my house. If you want to see more about that, then I will link that in the description box below so you can go check out that video. So for April, I'm just going to flip through and I'll talk about the days that have something important, but I'm just making notes of anything house related. We did a lot of spring yard work, not a lot of photos in the beginning. These photos are from last year. Sorry, Pumpkin's walking on my desk, so the camera's shaking. Not a lot in the beginning of the month. In fact, it was like nothing. And then we started painting the main area of our house. I put a paint swatch in here of the paint that we're using. And then just doing daily updates on our painting. We also did our laundry room redo in April 2024. So that's in here from April. And then here the living room painting was done. Here is a photo I printed using that clear sticker paper, and this was the one that really bothered me with the clear because you can see the grid, so you can't really see the living room as well. So I'm not using the clear one anymore. I'm using the solid one, which is this. So here I printed like an in progress photo, which I thought would be fun to see. We also did some yard work and we got some new plants. So I put these stickers from the plants and so I can keep in mind like what they are, and so I will know that in the future. Some more of those clear stickers, which I didn't like. These are from a previous year, so you can see this is the like matte photo paper I was using before. An update after the painting. Another update after the painting from a different angle. Here I took a picture of where my apple trees are blooming because I'm hopeful that I'm going to actually have apples this year. I've had a couple bad luck years from them. And we did our reading room update around this time too. So I also had that photo from, or I think we just added a few, I think maybe we just added that. Yes, that's what we did. And that's it. I think there's a little bit, there's a few things that I might want to print some more photos and add in here, but that's it for now. So that was a look at all of my journals and planners for April. I am super excited to dive into May, and I plan to share an update with you guys after the month of May of how the month of May went. But for now, you can definitely check out my May plan with me if you want to see my setup. And I do have plan with me's every single month if you want to see my setup before the month. And I am doing these monthly flip throughs every month this year, so you can check those out as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.